always been very independent, and I guess you know, some people would say, I guess a nice way of putting it is they say you're strong-willed, you know, and then behind your back they say other things, you know, but that's okay, because usually I heard them, but that's okay too. That's okay too. I always say, well, you know, I could talk about this, or I could talk about that, or I could, you know, go digging through my files from years back, because I've been speaking here. How many years I've been here? 17 years I've been here, and doing a lot of speaking. So I guess I've just, you know, gone with it and gotten comfortable with it. And I tell people, you know, practice what you preach, and like we always say, you talk the talk, let's see you walk the walk. So, you know, that's always been very strong in me too. So I always told people over the years when they struggled with this, to trust. You just have to totally put yourself out of it, ego aside, it's not you, and trust spirit. And that's a struggle for most people, to give up that control. And me being the person that I have always been, you know, all the years I was in the military, I was usually like a branch leader, a flight leader, whatever, and I had to get up and speak and teach and all that kind of stuff. And it was hard, you know, in a predominantly male-oriented career field. And I always said, well, you know what? I'm not gonna give in. I'm not gonna let them beat me. I mean, I was like really stubborn about that, you know. It was good and bad, you know. I'd have people come in to our work section or whatever, and you know, higher ranking individuals, and they'd always look for the male in charge, you know. They'd be like, oh, I need to speak to, you know, somebody about this, you know, complaining, and I could hear them hollering at my airmen out there, and, you know, I'd come out in my little skirt and high heels and say, come on in, you know, and then I'd just sit there and listen to them like, well, okay, you know, you're going to have to get past me, you know. If you want something, you're going to have to go through me. Because sometimes, you know, rank does have its privilege. But I worked with a lot of, you know, base commanders, wing commanders, in command sections, and, you know, I always enjoyed it. You know, there's good and bad with it. But I'll never forget one day I was coming into an office right outside the door, and I heard two of my airmen talking about me, you know, as you will. Of course, you're walking in, and I heard one of them say to the other, she's the only one, he said, I ever saw tell the base commander to be quiet. And he did. And you know, I'm going to tell you, years later, that same base commander came to my later base and presented me with an award that he had written specifically for me. So that you know, that's kudos. That meant a lot to me, because I was stationed in Italy for several years and was in Desert Storm, etc. And yeah, that same, he was the base commander, came to Maxwell Air Force Base in Alabama and was a commander there. And I said, you know, I said, I'm still looking for my award from San Vito. And he says, really? And he says, well, let me just call back there and see what's going on with that. And let me tell you, within 2 weeks, I had my award. He presented it to me. So, long story short, you know, sometimes you can get a lot accomplished by speaking softly and, like they say, carry a big stick. So anyway, what I chose, or what Spirit, I should say, you know, right up to the last minute, I'm like, what do I talk about? What do I talk about? And they always, you know, they don't fail you. They're right there. They were talking to me actually about love, all kinds of love. And this specific type of love we're going to talk about is, it says, love finds its deepest expression with service. And if you know me, you know a big thing about what I talk about is in service to others. That's what Spirit has always told me, that that's why we are here, in service to others. So we don't only love on days like Valentine's Day or Christmas, because that stuff, it just fades. It fades into the past. We're reminded probably every day that love is more than giving somebody flowers, you know, on an occasion, or a box of chocolates, or beyond the grand gestures of a single day. Love finds its deepest expression through service. It's in the small but intentional ways we show up for others. And love transitions from sentiment to actual action. It's not just something we feel. Love is something that we do. A kind word to a stranger, a helping hand for a neighbor, or an hour you spend volunteering in any form that you desire can carry more meaning than any material gift. It's nice if you can write a check and send it in the mail and off it goes into the ether. But an authentic expression of love, sometimes it can go unnoticed. We all have had probably late night phone calls from friends that were struggling with some crisis in their life. We offered quiet patience in a difficult situation, sometimes with coworkers we see are struggling for various reasons. Or you can provide steady support to a needy family member. And I think everybody knows about a needy family member. It can be you, in fact, or a sister or brother or grandchild. So recently, I was in the Starbucks near where I live, and I noticed the young female barista was watching an elderly customer struggling with her heavy bag. And the girl went from behind the counter. She quietly went to the door and helped the elderly lady to a seat, adjusting her bag close to her so she didn't have to worry or stress about that. There was no expectation of, being like, oh, thank you, you're so nice. I mean, she didn't do it for that reason. It was just this simple act of kindness that helped somebody, that was struggling, and means a lot. So it reminded me that opportunities to serve surround us constantly. We just need the vision to see them and the willingness to step up and take action. When we think about serving others, it's easy to imagine large-scale charity efforts or significant sacrifices. While those do have value, the most transformative acts of service often happen in the ordinary rhythms of life. It's checking in on a friend who might be silently struggling, writing a note of encouragement to someone going through a tough time. Does anybody ever do that? Do you ever think like, wow, I know so-and-so's having a really rough time right now. Maybe I could send them a card or a note, even if it's by email. It's the intent. Or offering a listening ear without opening your mouth and giving a lot of advice or judgment. Just actually listening. So despite our best intentions, a lot of us hesitate to serve because we're too busy. We're too busy. Or it's not that big a deal. They'll get through it. It's not real significant. Thoughts like, oh, I don't have time, or I'm not really sure what I should do. I know people like that, so they don't do anything. They just don't do anything. Well, I didn't really know what I could say or do, so they don't do anything. But service doesn't require a major life overhaul. It just requires a shift in your perspective. So what if we infused a bunch of love into what we already do, rather than adding new to an already packed schedule? Believe me, I know we're all busy. I know we're all busy. A morning walk could become an opportunity to pick up litter in the neighborhood. When I go to the beach, I bring a trash bag. Because as I'm walking around on the beach, I see all the things that people discarded. You know, soda, cans, pop tops, water bottles. A routine grocery trip could include buying extra items for a food pantry. And I know a lot of people do that. They go to and get the BOGOs and they donate the other item because they say, well, I don't need 2 of these, so let me donate this. And all the time you're scrolling on your phone could be redirected to sending a thoughtful message to someone who might need it. And I get it, you know. I'm not asking everybody to, you know, ignore their own obligations and responsibilities and drop everything. But I have to tell you, we do have a member in our church, and she heads what we call the Sunshine Committee. And she has done this for many, many, many years. Even though, for health reasons, she has not actually stepped in this building in years. She's a faithful member. She sends the most beautiful cards, and I'm sure some of our members have been the recipients of those cards. Anytime anybody's sick or down in the dumps, or they lost a family member, dog, cat, spouse, all of the above, Yvette sends the most beautiful cards to our members. And, you know, a lot of times she's not even aware of the situation, but I am, or someone will bring it to my attention, and right away I know all I have to do is text Yvette, and a card is either going out that day or first thing the next morning.
Wow.
I mean, this lady, she has done this for so many years, probably more than 20 years. She never, you know, charges the church like, oh, I need stamps or I need cards. I mean, this is her gift to us that she's been doing for so many years. And I know, like I said, she sends some beautiful, heartfelt messages, wording from our loving church family. And that's Yvette. And I often think, oh my gosh, you know, what if we didn't have Yvette doing this? We'd be looking for somebody, maybe a couple, 2 or 3 somebodies to take on what she's been doing all these years. And that's what I'm talking about, love. Yvette loves our church and our church family. And she definitely shows it. So sometimes, you know, you can offer to pick up groceries or something for one of your elderly neighbors, or pick up their newspapers in the driveway if you see them piling up. I mean, just really minute little things that mean so much to somebody. So it's nice if you can do all those little things, sending messages to somebody, you know, going through a tough time, or simply just being present when someone needs to talk to someone that's really listening. I know a lot of us have spouses and family members, and like they haven't heard us vent enough and, you know, complain enough, or not even that, just like, oh, you know, you're just unloading, like you come home and like, oh, this was just terrible, this happened and that happened, and, you know, this poor person, usually, like I said, your spouse, oh my God. I know, and you know, and I know it's true, and they do their best, you know, to commiserate with you, or actually just listen. And you know, I notice my husband, when I'm venting, his eyes never leave the TV. And I'm like, you know, I mean, I get it, he's pretending he's listening to me, maybe that's 9/10 of it. You know, I'm not gonna, and I will say like 20 minutes later, didn't you hear what I just said to you? And, oh, yeah, I heard what you said. And I go, what did I say? Well, I didn't know there was gonna be a test. You know? And I tell him, I'm talking to you. I say, could you lower the volume anyway? At least that's louder than me, you know? And I get it. It is what it is, you know? And they listen to us. I guess, you know, they make the effort. And not just spouses, you know, your friends, brothers, sisters, whoever is listening to you, or not listening to you, at least make the effort, you know, make the person feel validated, you know, that they are listening to you. But I get it, it's, you know, and we all know Mother Teresa, and she once said, not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love. And that's something I kind of live by. Like, we don't expect you to be Mother Teresa or the Dalai Lama, whose birthday, you know, we're celebrating as well. He's 90, by the way. Still going strong, talking about his next incarnation. Yeah, 90 years old. So it's the love we invest in these actions. The measure of love is not in what we say, but it's in what we do. Obviously, you can talk a good game, like I said, talk the talk, but when it comes down to it, I like to see who's really walking the walk, you know, because you listen to all of this love and everything we have for our church family, and even those that aren't technically our church family. You know, I talk to a lot of people that are visitors to our church, guests to our church. They'll call me or text me or send me an email. And I learned a long time ago, I don't say, well, you're not a member of this church, so why should I waste my time and effort on you? You know? And I realized, what difference did it really make? If someone's reaching out to you, or you see someone struggling in various, capacities, are we really just that jaded that we say, oh, well, I don't have to bother with you, you're not a church member. No, where's your compassion, your empathy, and this true belief that we all truly are connected? We cannot always see it on our ancestry page that we're connected, but if you go back and back and back, there is connection. You're all here for a purpose. You're all here for some reason, because you're supposed to be here. So whether you're a member or not, if you come to us and you need some type of assistance or just someone to talk to or vent to, we're here for that too. So that's why I say, we don't just talk to talk. We definitely stress the other parts of it too, So I guess basically the conclusion of this is that all of the above, and let's see you get out there and show somebody that you care. Like I said, whether it's your neighbor or a coworker or your best friend, and we don't always do things in expectation of getting something back in return. That should be like the last thing on your mind is, well, what is this going to get me? Like, if I do this for you, what are you going to do for me? Well, first of all, we know that morally that's not the way it's supposed to be, quid pro quo kind of thing. Like, I don't expect I'm going to get something back out of this. If I can get you to feel better, that is satisfaction to me, even if it's just for that day. By all means, reach out to all of us. Like I said, church family includes friends and guests, all of the above, because that's what we are here for, in service to others. So I'll leave that message with you for today.